Welcome to the Let's Talk Solar podcast, broadcasting from Visual Horizon Media Studios in Houston, Texas, where we discuss all things solar and renewable events, news, predictions, and statistics for the average homeowner looking for more information to make their decision, and those dedicated to support the renewable movement, and exclusive real-life experts helping those in the business become more successful. Join us every Tuesday for the latest news in the solar world and join in on the conversation. Now, here's your host, David Rosa.
Welcome everyone. It's a very fun and exciting day. Welcome to Let's Talk Solar. I'm David Rosa, and today we have Shaan here as our first guest. Shaan, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Pleasure having you.
Hell yeah, man.
So a lot of people are not aware, me and Shaan actually have been working together, but not really knowing each other for a couple of years, right, Ron?
Yep.
You're from the Dallas location, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us how you got started with the solar industry.
So, really, I kind of just fell in my lap. I was transitioning through jobs. I was working for Best Buy. They were going through a restructure, and I moved out to Dallas to go get my MBA at UTD. And from there, I ran into Vicente, which I know you know for a while. Mm-hmm. And just like a salesman, he sold me on solar and the company. I thought I'd try it out. The first month I came in, closed 4 sales.
Nice.
Helped 4 homeowners go solar. And from there, I just kind of started progressing with the company. In about a year, I was a territory manager for Dallas. Became the number 1 territory in the company. And then just here recently, in the beginning of the year, promoted to be regional, and
awesome.
That's how we met. Yeah,
awesome.
Appreciate it.
So about 2 years with Sunpro now, right?
Yep.
Okay. So Shaan came in when we were going to the Dallas territory. I heard great things about him, but this is actually the first time we really get to interact. Again, welcome to Houston. It's awesome having you here.
Yeah, thank you.
So tell us a little bit, how solar looks like in Dallas.
It's crazy. Honestly, we help probably over 100 homeowners go solar every month. It's booming. We have over 30 reps right now just in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And really my territory goes from Waco all the way to the border of Oklahoma. That's the Dallas territory. Mm-hmm. We go all the way west towards Lubbock, Abilene, Midland, and Odessa. And then we go all the way to Shreveport as well. Absolutely. So it's booming right now. It's so many people are going solar right now that we can't even keep up with the amount of people that want to speak to us.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
If you're hearing this, we are hiring. Okay, put your application in.
So where's Dallas right now currently? Because I remember when Dallas first came out from Sunpro. I want to say about 3 years ago. It was like late or mid 2017 when Dallas started. And at that time, one of the things that I heard a lot about was that there was a lot of competition. It's a bigger market as far as there was more people familiar with solar. So when we went out there to first start the footprint of Sunpro out there, that's what we were running into. Fast forward now to 3 years later, I know we're obviously number 1 in Dallas. So how is it now?
As far as competition is concerned, just to kind of put it in perspective, there's probably 350 solar companies that are out there. Mm-hmm. Okay, half of them operate out of the garage, so you got to be careful. But there's probably only 2 or 3, and I wouldn't even consider them competitors. I would just call them players in the game right now in Dallas. But we cover such a large market that we don't really run into as much competition as what one would think, because a lot of our business is through referrals and happy homeowners and going and getting the business ourselves. We do obviously do house calls where homeowners reach out via internet and ask us to come to the home. That's kind of, I would say, about 50% of our business. But we don't even call them competitors. Other markets are a little bit different because they're a little bit more condensed. But Dallas is pretty spread out right now, I would say. Yeah.
Awesome. Now, the first time I actually came across you or your image was on the canvassing videos. The community of the solar industry, there's a lot of feedback on door-to-door sales and canvassing. Some people love it, some people hate it. I have seen people that do it at previous jobs. that completely don't do it in the solar industry now, because of the I guess the amount of money that you get per sale kind of takes back some of the motivation from canvassing. You know, the last podcast I did last week, you know, we talked a lot about, you know, self-generated business. So going back to what I said is that I first seen you on canvassing videos and setting up the canvassing program. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So when I first started selling, I still am going to school, but I was going to school at that point. So I was only able to sell, or be in the field, I should say, I would say about 4 to 5 days a week. So out of a selling week of 14 days, I was really only in the field for 9 or 10.
Oh, wow.
So I had to take days off to balance my schedule.
And performing the way you were.
Exactly. So I had to figure out a way to go get my own business to be efficient with my time. And for me, I'll sell you solar right now in 120 seconds.
Let's do it.
You ready? So right now, whatever you're paying for electricity, I don't care what it is, $50 bills, $300 bills, it doesn't matter. You have an electricity bill. If you take that number and you times it by 1 year and you times that by the next 15 years, okay, whatever you're paying for your cost of electricity right now, solar is a fraction of that cost for the same amount of power. So what we do is a smarter way of purchasing power. You have your federal tax credit, you have the equity of your home increasing, and you have a time to pay off your solar system, which means your electricity. After that, it's all savings. So it's just a smarter way of purchasing power. Where you're really not making a decision today, you just have an option and a choice. And going with solar just happens to save you $50,000 over the next 15 years, 20 years, you know? And just having that approach, you can't tell me it doesn't make sense. Because when I leave here today, you're still going to pay an electricity bill. But you would rather pay a solar panel payment, you know? And just having that confidence, because it makes so much sense, getting someone to listen to you just for how you just listened to me, you would say, okay, yeah, I got 20 minutes to just see what solar is about, and boom. Once I get there and look at your electricity bill and show you what you're currently paying versus what I'm asking you to pay for the same amount of energy, right? At that point, it's kind of a no-brainer. And then you have a company that backs you for 25 years. I mean, so I did really well. I also, and this is for any sales people out there who don't enjoy canvassing. What I will tell you, canvassing makes you a better salesperson. Absolutely. Because it helps sharpen your tools in your game, right? So like, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. He's still shooting. He was always practicing. Still the best player in the NBA, but he was still practicing. So if you have any sales, you always have to practice your craft, and doing door to door really, really helps you hone in on let's talk, boom, boom, boom. So it keeps you in a rhythm. So that's why I enjoyed it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Now, you were saying that, you know, obviously we have a great referral program where most of my business is refer based, you know, obviously doing it going 6 years now. You know, I do get some company appointments, but nowhere as what you set up with the canvassing program, because that went to other territories, what you set up there. So props on that.
Yep, thank you.
So where do you think solar is going from this point?
I mean, I spoke to a lot of people who invest money in stocks and open up own businesses and things, and just all the trends going right now. I mean, renewable energy is where you want to be because it's energy. You know, we're not doing anything that's going out of style or something you don't need, or you know, you have to have it, right? So if you look at America right now, right, I think only 3% of our energy comes from renewable sources, right? And that's probably the biggest that it's been in the last decade. As far as jobs are concerned, the Forbes list, the Department of Energy said that you know, there's more jobs in renewable energy than there is in oil and gas. So if we can just make the transition, which, you know, if you're following kind of like the Democratic Party and all of that, and the president's race, that's all a topic of conversation. How are we going to help our climate get better, and blah, blah, blah,
more
blah.
stability and all that.
Exactly. So the whole world has to trend in that direction, and the government's incentivizing you to do it. So what, luckily me and you, is we've been in this bandwagon for a while, and it's just going to continue to increase.
Absolutely.
You know? I think the Department of Energy said that 43% compared to 22% solar jobs or renewable energy jobs versus oil and gas. So
And it's only growing at a faster rate than, what's already out there, what's established.
Exactly.
One of the most, I want to say, the criticism solar gets, I guess, in some perspective, is that, it's taking away jobs, or, you cannot go completely renewable. There's certain industries that depend on fossil fuel, and you're not going to be able to substitute that. But you could subsidize what we don't need. EVs, house utilities. My house right now is being powered by solar, that technically I'm getting paid by my house in generating power to do this for podcasts here.
Yep.
Every piece of technology you see here is running for free.
Yep.
That actually, I just got my 4 months light bill, and it was negative $40. Excuse me, $50. So I'm on track to be negative, $150 before the summer. That when I normally would have got that $300 light bill, I'm only paying the same fixed rate on my system.
Yep.
One of the
let's pause real quick. So you just said that you had a negative $50 electricity bill. If you haven't gone solar, you've never seen that bill before.
Yeah.
And it's for everyone who says, "Oh, my electricity bill isn't that high." Well, is it in the negatives? Is your electricity company literally giving you credits and paying you, right, month over month for the energy you don't use?
Absolutely.
No.
Yeah, I tell homeowners that no matter if you have, that $50 light bill, or, in the wintertime, and that $120 in the summertime, it's still $1,400 that left your pocket at the end of the year.
Yep.
And it's something that you never have control over it. So doing solar now, as long as we've seen the tax credit go from 30% to this year's 26%, next year's 22%. So there's a lot of criticism saying that, once the tax credit goes away, it's going to hurt the industry. I believe it's not, because in my 5 years of doing this, I've seen rates where we're 9 to 11 cents true cost, everything included, to about 12, 14 cents. Now I'm seeing 14 to 16 cents. Even if that tax credit goes away, solar is still a no-brainer. It's ownership over something you never get to. You just rent.
So 100% agree with you. Here's a couple of things I'll tell anyone who's watching. If your cost of electricity goes up 1 cent, that's an average of $10 to $15 in your electricity bill. So we're all going to sit here and say the electricity companies are not going to raise their rates by 5 to 10 cents over the next 15 to 20 years, right? We'd be crazy to think that. And it's already happening. The U.S. Department of Energy says that there's a 5% increase year over year countrywide on energy, right? So just do the math. It's going to go up. And here's another thing. I'm also the regional manager over Oklahoma and Tulsa, and the biggest co-op electricity company in Oklahoma, OG&E, just sent out something to all the members that they're restructuring their grid because it's so outdated, right? And that's going to cost money. And literally they're telling them your rates are going to increase because we have to invest so much money into restructuring the grid. Texas has one of the oldest grids in the entire country. So what I tell my homeowners is, how many times have you seen light poles go up and electricity pillars go up? Never. But how many times do you see people move into the neighborhood? Always. And it's happening every month, right? People are moving in all the time. So it's going to cost more money to bring that electricity to your home. Those are the demand charges on your electricity bill. It says it right there. So the infrastructure, right? That's big. In 10 years, is our electricity grid infrastructure going to be able to support how much electricity needs to go to everyone who's moving in population? No. That means increase electricity rates.
One thing that I want to touch on is the growth of Texas. Just specifically in Houston. Well, excuse me. Let me go back. In Texas is the number one designated one-way trips for rented U-Haul trucks, which means a lot of people are moving here. From California and Florida, a lot of people has also moved here to Texas. In Houston, CenterPoint has added over 250 meters, smart meters, net meters to new construction homes. So that's the growth that you're seeing in the city. And the crazy thing about it is CenterPoint actually reported $226 million in profit last year, to taking them for the last quarter, taking them to about $2.2 billion in profit for the overall year. And reports show, they credit it actually because of low maintenance costs and the growth of the energy rates. And they're actually trying to persuade people in charge to increase the rates now, while little construction is going forward to, improve what's out there already as far as the grid.
I'll give you another example on that. Encore, which owns 80% of the electricity lines in North Texas, went bankrupt 2 years ago. Got bought out by Sunpro, a California electricity company out of San Diego, whose average cost per kilowatt is like 20 cents, 22 cents.
Oh, wow.
Everyone has, solar in California, and they bought them for, somewhere in the billions with a B. And they own 80% of that. It's a money grab.
Absolutely.
Right? So what do you think they're going to do to the electricity rates?
It's just going to go up.
They have to. They got to take that money back.
Now, it's funny because the utility scale of solar is going so much faster than the residential side of it. There's even some quote unquote co-ops that are making it harder for homeowners to go solar with their net metering rules. Like you said, about 85% of Texas is deregulated. Well, that other 15%, they have a grid, a lock, a chokehold on what they can and can't do. When I first started back in late 2015, this company, towards East Texas, right before Louisiana, they have, grids out there as well. They were okay with doing solar, where they were the only ones doing a physical check when homeowners got a $50 credits build up eventually. And they only had a $10 base fee. Well, as more people went solar here in that area in Texas, they changed the rules in 2017, where now they have what they quote unquote call avoided costs.
Yep.
Where, now it changes the way the homeowner could design their system, because now they can only offset 40% of their consumption, which is their daytime usage. Because it scares homeowners from, really taking control over what they can eliminate. Because while they're at work, instead of saying power back and getting it back at a higher rate, so it makes it harder for them, for the homeowner to understand going solar. The crazy thing about it is that same utility company is advertising a solar co-op plans. So they're actually investing into solar farms, and they're getting the tax credits and saying the homeowners a premium clean energy for a higher rate. We're only going to see that rate increase while you're paying off their equipment. That's insane. A lot of people are not aware of that.
No, they're not. And think about it. If, let's just say the average person spends $150 on electricity, okay? That's $1,800 a year. Okay?
For about 900 to 1,100 kilowatts a month.
Yeah, right? And just over a 20-year span, that's $36,000.
Yeah.
If everything stayed the same, and we just talked about why it's going to increase. So realistically, that number is like, what, 55,000, right? So we know that.
Homeowners don't.
And the electrics company knows that, but the homeowners don't.
Yeah.
So that's why I know those co-ops are doing that, because they're like, man, you're $100,000 of money towards in my pocket.
Yeah.
If you go solar, I'm not going to see that, right? I'm going to see a fraction of that. So, if I was in their shoes, I probably would do the same thing.
And it's funny that you said $100,000, because I grew up in a household as the youngest of 6, where our average light bill was $400. In the Houston Heights, my parents purchased their home for $65,000 in 1998. In those 20 years, about 2016, they gave about $100,000 to the utility company. I have seen light bills as high as $720. And these are numbers that most people don't think about. It's bulk electricity.
Yep.
And so my parents went with a 45 panel system. Last month they were negative $20.
Wow.
And this is 4 years into it. Now with the new growth of homes here in the greater Houston area, there's a lot of new construction. Obviously there's more efficient homes. So even they could start with a starter pack system, such as a 16 kilowatt starter system.
Right.
They're going to use a certain amount of power anyways, so why not offset that anyways with your own solar system? And a lot of the feedback you hear is, I want to wait till I'm in my home before I go solar. You don't need to.
You don't.
I had the advantage here when I purchased my home last year, June 2015. I asked the previous owners, let me see your bill. So they consumed an average of $210 a month in electricity, about 1,500 kilowatts a month. They were here for 14 years. That was $35,000 they gave the utility company.
That's a solar system right there.
Exactly. So I went with a system to offset, about 90% of that. And with the tax incentives, it was $25,000. By the time my 4-year-old's in middle school, I owned my electricity. It was a no-brainer. Now here, there's more than 400 homes in my subdivision. There's already 2 solar homes being included in this subdivision. So it's amazing growth that we're going to head to, because it really truly does give you control over where your money goes anyways.
Yeah. And think about it. The government is paying for 26% of your system. That was money you were never going to see again, right? And now you get that money back and you can invest it in your home. And, we didn't even talk about equity increase in the home, right? That's another big value of it. And solar is one of the only home improvement loans that will increase the equity of your home, and the property taxes won't increase. So there's so much incentive for us to do this. And a lot of these deregulated markets, like we talked about, the reason why there's really good incentives in there is, one, that they actually need solar to balance out
the on demand during this peak times.
Exactly, and that's why there's a lot of people who get the brownouts, and they're like, man, why is my power out all of a sudden? There's no storm, there's no nothing. It's because the grid is so saturated.
Yeah.
So they need solar as well.
Absolutely.
You know? And that's the direction we're going in. Yeah.
Yeah. So, out there in Dallas, I'm pretty sure you have been with a lot of homeowners. Tell us, one of those funniest or awkward moments that you've been in with the homeowner that like, okay, this is going to be a great one to remember.
Man, so I'll tell you, one time I had a homeowner who came in. I pitched him. He wanted to go solar, and he said, look, I can't make a decision without you speaking to my wife. And I was like, okay, we respect that. Like, where's your wife at? And he was like, well, she only, she works nights, And I was like, oh man, he's probably lying to me, like, okay, so what time does she come? What does she do? Does she work in the hospital? What does she do? And he's like, no, she works in a nightclub. I was like, okay, so, that's cool. I go out and stuff. Like, what club does she work at and stuff? And he's like, no, she works in like a gentleman's club.
Wow. And
I was like, oh, okay. So obviously she was an exotic dancer or whatever. So I was like, okay, so what time does she, when I first asked her was like, what time does she get off work? And he's like 4 a.m. And I was like, okay, whatever. So anyway, I set the follow-up appointment. I come back and she comes out and she's still dressed
for work.
Yes. This was like 12 o'clock in the afternoon.
Wow.
I had to be like during lunch because I remember I had was starving when I went in the house. And I was like, let's just get this paperwork signed. And she was alone in the home.
Wow.
And I called the homeowner. I was like, hey man, still coming in? And he's like, hey man, I'm at work right now, but my wife is in there, so go ahead and go in there. And I go in there and
wow.
Yes.
Did they buy cash? I'm assuming they buy cash.
So yeah, so she put 30% down.
Okay.
And it was a small system. It was only like 16 or 17 panels.
Yeah.
But here's the crazy thing. The reason why she actually did go solar was because
she needed a tax credit.
No, so the reason why she went solar was because her friend who worked at the same nightclub went solar.
Wow.
With someone from our company.
Wow. That's
wow. And they were showing each other like in the
referral app.
Yeah, the referral app. And they were showing each other in the locker room, like where they were all getting dressed and stuff, like their electricity bill. And they're like, "Oh my god!" Da, 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 da. So yeah,
that's insane.
That one was probably one of the most awkward moments because I was like, man, she was like pretty much half naked.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I'm over here trying to be professional.
That's insane. Now it's funny that you said out of all that, it was a referred homeowner.
Yeah.
Well, the other day when I believe it was Tuesday, that you said something that was actually, it stood out to me that, a lot of a lead source that people don't utilize is referrals. Mm-hmm. And you were talking about how much money you spend with your barber, and other people that you do business with that actually, hey, I need you to put some money in my pocket the same way, I take care of you.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate?
Yeah. So the story behind that was because, and you have a good beard too.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you. I was going to give you a problem on yours.
So I got to get the beard done once a week, especially because of my role, and the beard gets crazy, right?
Absolutely.
So I got my barber, and we sat there, and I always ask my people for referrals, and just for everyone who doesn't know how the referral program works, is anyone that you send us who goes solar, you get $1,000. Okay, you just put them in our app, put the name in there, boom, they get it. They actually get $25 just to hear us talk. And you get $35 when we do the presentation, regardless of purchase. When they move forward with solar, you get $1,000. So anyone that I come in contact to, I'm always talking about solar. Let's talk solar, right? And my barber, and he usually sends me 1 or 2 people a month. And it was a month or 2 months where he didn't send me anyone. And I sat down there and I was like, hey man, I come to you every week. Let's do the math on how much money I spend for my haircuts. It's $40 times,
for the fade and the beard. Yeah, it does cost money to maintain it.
Times 12 months, it's over $1,000, man. And I'm consistent. So if you don't send me any referrals, I'm gonna have to go to the guy who's sitting right next to you in the barber chair, and we'll see if he gives me referrals. So you scratch my back, I'm gonna scratch yours. And I think for anyone in just any industry who's doing referrals, when you come in contact with anybody who you do business with, they should easily do business with you as well, because that's how we're gonna grow.
Yeah.
And that's how, I really grew my referral business, was my barber, the person who does our lawn care, people who are in the same industry as AC people, HVAC people, just anyone in general, right? They gotta know that they can make a lot of money regardless if they've gone solar or not. They'd make even more money if they went solar, but that they should always be aware that this is the easiest way to make money, is by literally, everyone has an electricity bill and everyone has a roof. Credit, I can't really help that, but you can always pay cash.
Yeah. I mean, you can also save the referral money and use that eventually to buy your system cash or pay off your debt regardless. So, it's a no-brainer realistically. Like I said, by the time my son's going to be in middle school, we're done with electricity at that point forward.
Yeah.
Realistically, even if we sell the house in 7 years, it added equity to my house. So I know I'm going to sell it, get the money back that I put into it, and just pay the same thing in the meanwhile till I owned it eventually, So yeah, what do you think solar's going to be moving forward in the next 5 years after the tax credit?
I mean, I have goosebumps after you just asked me that, I swear to God. Because honestly, this industry has changed my life.
Yeah.
My family's life, your life, I know.
Absolutely.
Everyone that we work with. And it's just like, I cannot wait in 5 years to look at everyone in the eyes who doubted solar and doubted renewable energy when the electricity rates are 16, 20 cents, because they are there in California. It's there. I'm from New York. It's there already, right? Certain places in Texas, like if you go to like
the Brownsville, I was there, when we were growing that territory, 16 cents a kilowatt.
All day long.
And out there, homeowners are payment buyers. They weren't worried about the net investment or how much they're financing. They just knew that they were saving enough money to cover the payments. And I was actually, checking out the installation map, and I saw grids of just lines of solar just growing. And, it's a Spanish community, so, they really trust one another once people are going solar. South Carolina, when I went out there last year, they were paying 16, 18 cents a kilowatt. But unfortunately, there's several utility companies out there that are kind of, making it difficult for homeowners.
Yeah, and if you look at Arlington, Texas, where the Cowboys play, right, home of the Cowboys, and the Rangers, those two facilities use so much energy that all the people around the stadium have the highest cost per kilowatt.
Wow.
In my North Texas
to make up for their commercial pricing.
Yeah, and it's unfair. And I'm talking about, these houses are small houses with older homeowners who are paying $300-$400 for electricity. And you can go into North Texas, like Plano, Frisco, McKinney, beautiful homes, 2-story, brand new builds, and their electricity bill is like $100 a month.
Wow.
Right? And it's not fair. It's just, you live there.
Yeah, that's insane.
And you can't do nothing about it. And that's why solar makes sense for everyone, no matter where you're at.
That's insane. So, we were talking about how long you've been in the industry now. What are some of the challenges that you first encountered when you started?
I think a lot of people just don't understand what solar is. And that's the biggest thing, that anyone who goes and sells solar or presents renewable energy, they don't know what it is, right? They think that it's expensive, it's not going to last. What happens if it hails? Is it going to produce the energy I need? This, and that. What happens if I move? All these things, right? And that's exactly what I thought when I first joined the company. But very quickly you realize that all those things are addressed. And literally solar is a no-brainer. It's probably the most guaranteed ROI you can possibly have.
Safer than the stock market,
Absolutely.
401ks.
Absolutely. And here's why. Because the system that we produce is going to produce electricity that you're already paying for. And once that's done, paid off, right, like your whole solar system, that money's coming right back to you. And you don't have to spend it anymore. And the way the warranties work is that they guarantee the production. So if the system didn't produce what we say it's going to produce, we actually reimburse you double the difference in cash for 25 years. So if the production is guaranteed, so is your savings, and that right there caught me, because I could sell that to anybody, and it's not really selling, it just makes sense. So the struggles really was learning how to answer all the technical questions around solar, not really how the money makes sense, right? Me and you are numbers people, that's why we get along. the numbers always make sense, no matter what the situation is. If we can fit the panels on the roof, and you're either paying cash or have a qualified credit score, the numbers will always line up. Mm-hmm. The technical aspect of it was what I had to kind of really learn, and I'm still learning because technology is always evolving. But I mean, LG is in the game, right? LG, $64 billion company. 24 of that goes to just renewable and battery. Tesla, right? The batteries, the power walls, they're doing it. Enphase is the largest microinverter company or inverter company in the country. We were talking about this at dinner. Their stock was $1.24
a year ago.
Yeah. And they're at $54.
Yeah, and less than 6 months ago, it was like $7. It's crazy.
So, and look at another thing I wanted to talk about was the Department of Energy and what they're doing in Puerto Rico right now. They're literally coming up with storage, right? And once that gets going, and we add that to solar, it's over. Now we have the complete setup. We can store your power that you don't use. You can use it. If your power goes out, you still have it. Not to say we don't have those options now, but we're going to have a lot more options in the future, you know, and everyone's going to be involved in the game. If you look at LG, how many more TVs and washer and dryers can they make in cell phones? Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to hit a plateau at some point.
Yeah.
But the renewable hasn't even touched the surface.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
now, so, you know, obviously Vicente, big shout out to Vicente.
Big shout out to Big Vic, President Vic, man. Big shout out.
So, you know, we were at the last company together as well, me and Vicente. You know, what was some advice that he gave you when you started? Because when I first heard about solar was back in 2010. I said this, a little bit of it in the previous episode where, you know, I was a technician at the cell phone store for about 3 years. I met a customer who was in, you know, mid-80s, and I finally asked him, what do you do? He goes, I'm in the energy industry. I'm well off. I only work one day out the week because I'm bored. I go, what advice would you give somebody my age? I was 20 at the time, just starting off. He goes, get into renewable energy. That's the way the world's going. At that time, 2010 in Texas, there was nothing about solar or renewables. There was a college in Colorado that I considered that I didn't move forward. In 2005, I was luckily able to get started in solar just because of my sales, you know, background. But so what are some advice that you'll give, you know, yourself starting back? Well, actually, let's go back. What is the advice that he gave you when to make you make the switch?
Big shout out to Vic, man. The dude changed my life. And I remember because I had worked for a previous solar company for a little bit down in South Texas, and then when I moved to Dallas because of school and stuff, and he straight up told me, he's like, listen, if you can follow the process, this will change your life, you know. And at some point in life, you got to trust somebody, you know. And the person who referred me to Vicente, I trusted him, you know, I really did. And from there, he gave me the same advice that I give everyone. And right now, I mean, I'm over 6-7 different territories with 7 different territory managers, probably over, I don't know, close to 150 reps, right? And anytime we staff and we hire and we recruit, we say, you know, stay humble, stay hungry, and be available.
Absolutely.
If you can commit to those 3 things,
this job will change your life.
Change your life.
Because what I tell new representative, this job is a lifestyle job. You cannot be in part-time, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and it's a roller coaster. There's going to be those months where you're on the top of the mountain, and the next month you're at the bottom, questioning yourself and doubting everything, and like, what am I doing wrong? And then you get stuck in these runs where you got to be mentally strong, and it takes a certain type of person or mentality to do what we do. Because it's a beating, you know, what we do 7 days a week, because, again, this is a lifestyle.
Yep. I mean, let's talk solar, right? Thank you for the shirt.
Oh, my pleasure. Appreciate you rocking it. Thank you.
Yeah, 100% agree. It's a lifestyle. It's not for everyone. Your mental game has to be super strong, and that's something that I think was the reason why I was able to be so successful, was because outside of work, I do a lot of things to keep my mind right. Right, go to the gym, have a good relationship with God, have a good surrounding core around me, my family, my sisters, my parents and stuff. Good group of friends, and just kind of I always have mentors, you know, even outside the solar industry. I have a lot of people that I reach out to just for advice and just look how well that they're doing and the success, and know that it's possible. I'm from a city where it's very gritty. I'm from New York, where, you know, the bright lights are right in your backyard, you know, and you see every day, and you want to strive and be that way and just be a winner. But I've been in sales for my whole life. I used to sell Kirby vacuums.
Oh, wow. So door knocking. There goes. That explains it.
Yeah. I used to sell Kirby vacuums in college.
Yeah.
And that's how I used to pay to eat and to, just be in school, really. Not my tuition necessarily, but the other things that come along with it. Yeah. So I know that I can sell, but when you believe in it, like me and you do, I can go to anybody and tell them why this makes sense. I don't care what they say, what their situation is, because I know it makes sense, and it makes sense because we have 10,000 homeowners that are happy as hell and crying and sending us thank you messages and postcards and Merry Christmas and
inviting us to birthday dinners and stuff like that, or
hugging
church
us,
events.
Hugging us.
I had a customer literally at the end told me, David, I love you, because of how I help them out. Because again, you're not selling stuff to people; you're making a financial impact and environmental impact in people's life. And we get to interact with people from all type of backgrounds. Obviously that the story you said earlier is one of them. And we have them for days. And what you said earlier is stay hungry, stay humble, and stay available. Because again, if you don't humble yourself, we have seen people make six-figure incomes quick and change the type of person they are, and then that gets them out the door. And then we have people who had no experience that are just hungry, killing it because they're consistent. That's the hard part, right or wrong.
100% agree. And I think there's two things that can change a person: money and adversity, right? And when you go through adversity, your true colors show, and when you get a lot of money, your true colors start showing as well, right? And we deal in this industry, you deal with that, right? But it's how can you stay balanced and stay focused and really just follow the process. And what I also really want to give advice to anyone who's trying to jump into this industry.
That was actually my next question.
Okay.
Awesome. Get into it. We think alike.
Because it's what breaks my heart the most is I have family members and cousins and relatives and really good friends who want to progress in life and want to do a lot better for themselves, and they're stuck in their 9-to-5 job.
In their comfort zone.
Yeah, in their comfort zone, and they're miserable, but they talk a lot about it, and they want to do this, and they post all these things, I'm grinding, I'm about this, I'm about that. That's not my way of doing it, but I tried to bring them over to this side, where
you actually do it.
And I can teach you and I can help you and I can guide you, because me and you have done this. I've done this for so many people. I've taken people who've never sold anything in their life and changed their life, right? But it's just at some point you got to trust someone, but more importantly, you got to believe in yourself. I know it sounds corny, right? But you really at some point got to sit there and you got to believe in yourself, right?
And so do self-evaluations, which I recently did one of myself, doing this for almost 6 years. I was like, it brought out a perspective that I actually never considered myself accountable on certain parts of it. And, that's one part that I always have to work on yourself to develop the skills that, you want to.
Yep. Self-reflection is key, and what we talked about in our sales meeting on Tuesday was before you pick up the phone and complain, ask yourself, what did I do? Yeah. What did you do?
Yeah.
Right. And that can probably answer 90% of the questions. And I will say that our top reps in our company work the hardest. Be available and stay humble, man.
Some hell of advice.
Yeah. You got to stay humble. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
But shout out to Meek Mill. Okay. This is one of my favorite quotes on him is student of the game, but I'm ahead of my class.
Oh, awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
That's it right there.
That's awesome. I like that. Big shout out to Meek Mills on that one.
Yeah.
Do you do any kind of self-development as far as sales techniques or sales, anything to help you master the skills of sales? What do you do?
A lot, actually. Jordan Belfort, Grant Cardone,
Straight Line Method, Survival Guide.
Yep. Whiteboard Wednesdays. Because those guys really understand. Everyone's sales method is kind of very similar. And what we preach, where we're at, is we want to keep it very simple and don't give so much detail where it's confusing, because a lot of that stuff doesn't really even matter.
Yeah, you got to keep a balance between emotional and logical. You have those emotional buyers that will buy but may cancel on you. And then you have those engineers that just want more information, or people that you bombard with information that they're forced to let me think about it. So you actually got to handle the process and be right in the middle and be balanced in every category of the installation process, the affordability, you know, the risk involved, and what makes you different. You know, there, like you said, there's several companies out there, and we went from being a nobody to number one in Texas to fifth in the nation residential. Yeah, you know, and that's, you know, that's how I focus when I do what I do.
And I want to touch on what you just said. And I don't even know how this is going to sound, but I'm going to say it anyway. So I really wish all the other solar companies were just as good as our company. Yeah. And the reason is because I want the solar industry to grow together. Yeah. Because if that happens, it's a community. Yeah, we all grow because we're all fighting the same cause as far as the electricity companies, right? And a lot of times there's a lot of people who want to come in and get the money grab because there's a lot of money in this industry and they don't do it the right way, and that taints us.
And we have seen that, you know, both of us personally.
Too many times.
Actually, I believe we worked at the same company prior at different times, and we went through the same experience, ironically, because you get sold on a dream and they don't deliver. And it's different when you have a company that asks, hey, how can we help improving you? And they deliver. And like you said, you know, by staying humble, this is one of the key things about it. Yeah. I mean, I truly don't even feel like I don't get paid commission because I make what I make at the end of the year and I divide it by what I made 365 and how did I help people that day, whether become more successful in the industry, have a financial impact as a homeowner, or help people grow overall. And so the money just came along with what I did on a regular basis. You know, and I'm a strong believer if I don't do what I'm doing now, in 2 months from now, I'm gonna see the results. It sells in 1 month and it's all coming in one time and you're chilling a little bit and then next thing you know, we're like, oh crap, let me go out there and grind again. It's a roller coaster.
It is. And what also I want to tell whoever's watching is that as many people as we've signed up, we've also walked away from as many people, if not even more, because we knew this is not going to make sense for you. That's the difference between us and maybe some other people.
The dignity that came along with it, because you know what I tell homeowners is we live in a day and age where if you have a good name or a bad name, social media shows it. You know, and that's really what, you know, contribute a lot to the success. And you know, luckily now homeowners are, you know, and are able to have all the access information now to make, you know, educated decisions, whether it's a same day decision or they have, you know, multiple touches and go back to they finally make a decision. I had those people where they met, you know, 10 homeowners, 10 solar companies, made all type of technical notes just to determine what the first person that was the same day close knew already from the get-go. You know, that's crazy.
And you can check the Google reviews because our homeowners go on there and say, hey, we met with every single company. We still decided to go with, you know, Rosa or Shaan because here are the reasons why. And I want to kind of talk about like the proudest moment that I've had in this industry is when I can go into neighborhoods that I've helped 5-6 people that live right next to each other. That's an
amazing feeling.
So it's almost like I own that block, you know. And when I bring my new hires, I drive them to there.
Give them that motivation. I did this.
I said, look, like. You guys can do this. You guys can just go knock on that neighbor's door right next to the 6th person on this block that has solar and say, hey, look, all these 6 people are saving $50,000 to $60,000 just over a 15 or 20 year span.
That's awesome.
Right? Like, why wouldn't you sign up? You know, the only thing I would say is for anyone who's a consumer out there and you're listening to this podcast, you really want to take a really deep look into financial independency, because that's what solar can provide you. Your car is going to be paid off. Your house will be paid off. Your student loans will be paid off. But your electricity bill will never be paid off. And every time I go into a home, I treat the homeowner like my mom. And would I put my mom in this situation? You're not going to make more money at 60 than you did at 65 if you're on a fixed income. So if your house is paid off and everything is paid off and you just have a growing electricity liability, right, to yourself, this is what solar is for you, right? It's for everyone. But that person in that market, what people don't understand is they think solar is for young people.
Yes.
I would say about 75% of our homeowners are 50 years and above.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree?
My parents were 64 when they went solar after being 20 years for the house. There is no certain age group. You know, you have those people in those 55 plus club that say, I'm too old to do this. I should have done this way before when I first moved into the house. Then you have those people in their late 20s that are able to get a home in the economy that it is the way it is now, that say, I may not be in my house 5 years from now, you know, may do it in my forever home. So it's it's so broad, but everybody needs electricity.
Yep.
You know, regardless if you're only going to be there for 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, or the rest of your time there. Yep. It's a house with electricity needs.
Yep. And that right there is what people don't understand, is that they think solar is for a certain demographic or a certain group. It's for everyone, you know. And as long as you have an electricity bill and you're hearing this podcast, if you don't get a solar quote this year, you're really missing out on a lot, because we don't know what the tax credit's going to hold in 2 years from now. And you're going to be wishing you went solar 2 years ago.
Yeah. We got homeowners that we met 2 years ago that are like, I should have done it then. Especially now that's a 26% tax credit.
Yep. Next year it'll be 22, and then, you know, pretty much vanish after that.
Yeah,
you know, unless, I'm pretty sure, hopefully we bring it back.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, everybody is actually taking advantage of the tax credit. It doesn't make sense not to. It adds a lot more money into the ecosystem than just giving it to a light company. It goes from you sending them that $1,200, $1,500, $1,800 every year, where instead of you're going solar, the financing institution's able to make some money, the solar installers able to make some money, and all of their installers, because it's not just one person making money. You have the solar engineers, the project coordinators, the person that went out to your home, the person that called you, set up the appointment, the master electrician, the team of installers that went out there. And then we buy the products from the supply vendors. So it puts a lot more money into the ecosystem than paying a light bill.
Yep.
You know, and it's just amazing, you know, where we're heading to it, and I'm very excited about what's to come.
Yeah, absolutely. Reach out to us. Shout out David Rosa.
Appreciate that.
You know, let's talk solar. I mean, probably Instagram, probably the best way. Shoot me a DM. We're hiring in Oklahoma, Tulsa, West Texas, East Texas, all the Dallas market, Waco, Houston, parts of Kansas right now,
Tennessee, Arkansas,
all of Florida. But yeah, shoot me a DM. And also, if you just want to be an advocate for solar, shoot me a DM. We can get you part of a referral app. It's no cost, no subscription fee.
It's not a multi-level marketing gimmick, no enrollment fees, membership fees, sign-up fees,
no pyramid,
fees, none of that.
None of that.
Download the free app, sign up. Anybody you recommend, you care to tell them a little bit more about it?
Anyone you recommend, and we meet with them, you get $35, okay? Whoever we meet with gets $25. When that person goes solar, we deposit $1,000 into your bank account through the app, kind of like Venmo, kind of like Cash App. So regardless if you have solar or not, this is open to everyone. You just download the app on the store, DM me for details.
It's funny that we're actually talking about that, because right before you showed up, look at that email I got.
Hey.
For the same homeowner. Made $1,500 for his friend going solar with us.
Wow.
Shaan, again, thank you for being here. You're an amazing guest. You know, it's an honor having you as a first guest to Let's Talk Solar.
I
appreciate you again, man. It's going to be love, and it's going to be, you know, I'm excited to see what's to come. Yeah. You know, we were just having dinner yesterday. You know, again, we just now are growing a relationship, and it's pretty cool that the people listening are going to see by the end of the year what that relationship happened to the Texas market.
It's going to be big time.
So, yeah, guys, so everybody's going solar one way or another. How you go about it is how you go about it, but you're going to do it one way or another. Again, this is Let's Talk Solar. I'm David Rosa. Thank you very much for tuning in.
You've been listening to the Let's Talk Solar podcast. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes or Google Play and YouTube to get new, fresh weekly episodes. For more, please follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, or visit our website at Let's Talk Solar Houston. Until next time, shine on.